Paige Bueckers, she ain't gonna be Caitlin Clark. Not now, not today, not ever. Sorry, it ain't gonna happen.
Why hasn't Middle America given Paige Bueckers the Caitlin Clark treatment?
Well, the ratings are out. How much Paige Bueckers is moving the needle? There's already statistical evidence. No, she is not moving the needle in women's sports or women's basketball nearly to the effect of Caitlin Clark.
Paige Bueckers is back in the headlines, but not for what you might think. It's not because of her dominance on the court. No, it's because she's reportedly frustrated that she's not being treated like Caitlin Clark.
Paige Bueckers has had one of the best careers in the history of women's college basketball. And looking at these ratings for the women's tournament, it is abundantly clear Paige Bueckers might be a star, but she's not a draw.
That's right. Bueckers seems to believe she deserves the same fame, the same spotlight, the same thunderous applause. But let's cut through the noise. She's not Caitlin Clark. And let's be real, she's never going to be. Paige is stepping into the WNBA expecting fireworks, sold-out arenas, and a hero's welcome, almost like it's her coronation. But what she's finding instead is something very different. Silence. The crowds aren't showing up in droves. The endorsement deals aren't magically falling into her lap. Why? Because unlike Caitlin Clark, Paige hasn't earned that level of attention, at least not with her numbers. Clark didn't just capture headlines. She shattered records, lit up the scoreboard, and redefined what stardom looks like in women's basketball.
A lot of people are saying, oh, everything is she was Caitlin before Caitlin, she's better than Caitlin, all this stuff. That kind of stopped in the media. Caitlin Clark put up better numbers in the WNBA than Paige didn't.
Paige? She's still living in that shadow. And until she proves it on the court at the next level, the fanfare she's expecting simply isn't coming. Paige Bueckers' recent comments have stirred up a storm, but not in the way she might have hoped. In this video, we're breaking down exactly why Paige Bueckers isn't Caitlin Clark, and why, no matter how hard the media tries to spin it, she never will be. If you're riding with Caitlin, drop a CC all the way in the comments because we're about to dive deep. Let's get into it.
Paige Bueckers is coming in, and she's going to be a driving force.
Clark is going against Paige and Dejanay. ESPN today, when they were talking about Paige, one of them says, I think Paige will be a good player this year, but I'm not expecting a Caitlin-like impact, and that's an unfair bar to set. Dallas Wings using the promo poster of Paige Bueckers and Caitlin Clark to hype that game.
While Caitlin Clark has been out here smashing records, dominating headlines, and literally transforming the landscape of women's basketball, Paige has mostly been making headlines for interviews, playing the victim and complaining about the lack of attention. And now, she's acting like she's entitled to the same respect and spotlight Clark commands. The same Caitlin Clark who revived women's basketball and turned it into must-see TV. The same Caitlin Clark who packed arenas, broke viewership, records, and elevated the entire sport onto a national stage. Paige thinking she deserves that same treatment without putting in the same work. It's not just tone deaf, it's flat out disrespectful to everything Clark has earned through sweat, grit, and undeniable greatness. Let's start with the cold, hard facts. Caitlin Clark isn't just great, she's transcendent. She's not your average star. She's a once-in-a-generation player, the kind who doesn't just play the game, she changes it.
Caitlin Clark was clearly heterosexual, handled herself with grace, just balled out and competitive as hell between the lines, but very nice, subdued, and hung out with her boyfriend off the court. That is a formula for disaster with the angry lesbians of the WNBA, particularly when you're Caitlin Clark and you dominate the scene, you dominate the ads, you dominate being on television and everything about television.
Clark's impact isn't built on hype or media favors. It's built on historic numbers, jaw-dropping performances, and a competitive fire that refuses to burn out. Meanwhile, Paige Bueckers, she's shown flashes of brilliance, sure. No one's denying her talent.
2025 WNBA draft average 1.5, the second highest ratings ever. So its peak was 1 million viewers less than the average for the Caitlin Clark experience. The viewership literally got cut in half. Hell of a lot of people said, Caitlin Clark's gone, I'm gonna do something else with my day. And of course, last year, Caitlin Clark came out. The WNBA saw its far and away biggest rating ever for the WNBA draft.
But flashes don't build legacies. Consistency does, dominance does, Game-changing influence does. And so far, Paige hasn't proven she can consistently match the level. Clark brings night after night. While Clark was carrying her team, filling arenas, and forcing the nation to pay attention, Paige was battling injuries, missing crucial seasons, and struggling to stay in the conversation. Not because the media forgot her, but because the game kept moving forward without her. Caitlin didn't ask for the crown. She earned it. Every three-pointer from the logo, every impossible pass, every gritty fourth-quarter takeover.
She is the chosen one, as they say. That may not be the case for Bueckers. For those of you wondering if Paige's acceptance into the WNBA will be different than Caitlin, delusional fan base that follows Caitlin Clark disrespected the WNBA players by saying she's going to go into that league and tear.
Caitlin built her empire shot by shot, game by game. Paige needs to understand that greatness isn't owed to you. It's earned. In blood, sweat, and championship moments. Not in interviews complaining about lack of recognition. And that's the truth the media won't tell you. No amount of PR spin, flashy commercials, or sympathy pieces will change the fact that in the WNBA and beyond, respect is earned, not given. Paige has a chance to prove herself, but that road starts with putting up numbers, not putting out narratives.
The Caitlin Clark effect is real. There's evidence of that in college women's basketball ratings, and there's evidence of that now in the 2025 WNBA draft on ESPN delivered the second most viewed WNBA draft ever, averaging 1.25 million viewers. The spin is real from the media.
Until then, there's only one queen of this court, and her name is Caitlin Clark. If you're rocking with Caitlin, drop a fire up CC in the comments. Make sure to like, subscribe, and smash that notification bell so you never miss a breakdown like this.
Paige
Click the
Bueckers
video on your
ain't
screen
Caitlin
right now
Clark
for even
and will
more
never be
Caitlin
on the
Clark
court.
domination.
ESPN
And we'll see you in the
continuing
next
their
one.
Caitlin Clark
isn't just a
erasure.
once-in-a-generation player. She's redefining what greatness looks like. She's not only the NCAA's all-time leading scorer, but the only basketball player in history, male or female, to post multiple 40-point triple-doubles at the college level. Her stat line? Absolutely ridiculous.
Caitlin Clark got beat up last year because Caitlin Clark was everything the women who she stood on the shoulders of weren't. She was a nice, straight girl that balled hard, had a different game, and it pissed everybody off, including the little gals on ES.
Clark drops 30 points like it's a warm-up. She averages over 8 assists a game and can either pull up from the logo or thread a no-look pass with the precision of a Hall of Famer. Think Steph Curry's shooting range combined with Magic Johnson's vision. That's Caitlin Clark. While most players are still flipping through the table of contents, Caitlin's out here rewriting the entire script. Now, let's talk about Paige Bueckers. No doubt Paige had a hot start in college. Her freshman season showed promise and had people buzzing.
The Monica McNutts and the Chimmies of the world and all the other clowns at ESPN that have tried to paint Caitlin Clark as popular for one reason, and that being a white girl.
But since then, it's been a roller coaster. Plagued by injuries, long absences from the court, and inconsistent performances, Paige hasn't been able to sustain the momentum. She hasn't consistently cracked that elite 20-plus point average. Her assist numbers? Decent, but nothing game-changing.
We want to see Caitlin Clark and we want to see Paige Bueckers.
Caitlin scored more points per game, but Paige was more
Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark has been delivering masterclass performances night in and night out, putting up historic numbers and carrying the weight of an entire sport on her back. That's the difference. Caitlin Clark isn't just a talent, she's a movement. Paige Bueckers had the hype, but Clark backed hers up with results, impact, and undeniable greatness.
And as long as she comes in the league and she joins the likes of DeJounte Carrington and all these others that are always promoting some kind of activism, she's not going to know. Why? Because sports fans want to watch damn sports.
And that's why when it comes to the future of women's basketball, there's Caitlin Clark, and then there's everyone else. Dragging an entire program into national contention, game after game. That's what Caitlin Clark does. And when it comes to crunch time, those final minutes when the pressure is suffocating, Clark doesn't just survive, she takes over. Paige Bueckers? In those same moments, she tends to fade. Yet somehow, we're supposed to believe they deserve equal billing. Let's be honest, they don't. When Caitlin Clark hits the court, the world pays attention. Her games shattered viewership records, even outdrawing NBA matchups on the same nights. Every major network knows, if Clark is playing, the audience is coming.
Eaton Thomas contrasts how white Americans view the two based on stark differences in speaking out against racial injustice. Quote, perhaps it's because, unlike Clark, Bueckers has always been outspoken about issues off the court, Thomas wrote in a Guardian article. At the 2021 ESPYs, Bueckers was named the College Athlete of the Year. She used her acceptance speech to celebrate and honor black women in particular. In Bueckers' famous ESPYs speech, she used her platform to recognize those who didn't get the same recognition as her, specifically highlighting black women. While black America cheered Bueckers, it seemed like mainstream white America, a demographic once viewed her as, in her words, a media darling, weren't signaling out her praises. Is it a coincidence, or maybe because her injuries have made people forget her greatness as an athlete?
She turned the WNBA draft into a must-watch television event. She drew record-breaking crowds and sent ticket resale prices soaring just by stepping onto the court. When she plays, arenas fill, hashtags trend, and highlight reels light up millions of screens. This isn't manufactured hype. This is real, undeniable dominance. Meanwhile, Paige Bueckers had the full ESPN hype machine behind her heading into the 2025 WNBA draft. All the promotion, all the marketing muscle, and when the numbers came in, it was a total flop. Her draft broadcast pulled just half the viewership Caitlin Clark generated without half the noise. The difference couldn't be clearer. One built a movement, the other tried to borrow one. Caitlin pulled double the viewership a full year before Paige even entered the picture. That's not a coincidence, that's proof. Proof that fans aren't buying what the media is trying to sell. They're here for Caitlin. Period.
But she's back from injury, and now why aren't people focused on Bueckers as they were Clark last year when she was tearing up college basketball? Maybe if Bueckers had delivered a more vanilla ESPY speech, things would be different. This is a completely embarrassing article. Caitlin Clark is a worldwide phenomenon whose playing style has drawn a level of hype that hasn't been seen in basketball in a decade.
Let's be real. This isn't about who posts the best workout selfies or who delivers the most emotional press conferences. This is about real-world results, on-court dominance, and genuine fan interest. Caitlin Clark doesn't need a curated PR campaign. She doesn't need staged photo shoots or sympathy narratives. Her numbers speak for themselves. Her play demands attention. She's the name fans chant. She's the player people drive hours, even states, to see. She doesn't chase the spotlight. She is the spotlight. So when Paige Bueckers steps in expecting the same treatment Caitlin gets, the answer is simple.
I'm looking forward to seeing Caitlin Clark play. That are mad she's on national TV. They're going to brutalize her again.
You don't earn Caitlin level fame just for showing up. You earn it by dominating. And right now, dominance has one name attached to it: Caitlin Clark. Let's not kid ourselves. The media is bending over backward trying to manufacture a rivalry, trying to prop up Paige as the next big thing in women's basketball. ESPN, sports anchors, social media commentators, they're all trying to create a narrative. But narratives don't create legends, results do. And in this game, Caitlin Clark is setting the standard everyone else is chasing. The media keeps pushing this narrative, not because Paige Bueckers earned it, but because they're low-key panicking. A white girl from Iowa with zero interest in virtue signaling just took over the sport, and they don't know what to do about it.
Caitlin Clark is the GOAT!
She signed my jersey! So happy, I'm crying. I'm so happy. This is the best day ever.
Caitlin Clark effect seems to be crazier than year one.
I love watching her score and just everything about her.
They went the extra mile just to watch her play here.
This is great news for women's basketball.
She just brings so much passion to the game, and look at all these.
Caitlin Clark didn't just roll into the WNBA riding hype. She came with receipts. Record-breaking college performances, sold-out arenas across the country, endorsement deals from Nike and State Farm. Locked down before she ever played a single professional minute. And how did she earn it? She hooped. That's it. She didn't climb political ladders. She didn't pander to identity trends. She put her head down, worked, and dominated. And what was her reward? Not parades, not a hero's welcome. Instead, elbows to the ribs, cheap fouls, hate tweets, hot takes from salty analysts. She's been mocked on TV, dragged in headlines, and attacked by players who couldn't guard her, all because she refuses to play the media's game.
People that just want to come and see her.
It is no secret that the Indiana Fever are the most popular team in the WNBA. It is good for the entire WNBA.
If I was the WNBA, I would have considered a separate television package to a network on just Caitlin Clark games. I would have had two packages, the WNBA package, and then a separate, let's say 15 to 18 game Caitlin Clark package.
Caitlin's mere presence disrupts their carefully curated narrative. Now Paige Bueckers wants that same treatment, that same spotlight, but without the pressure, without the grind, and without delivering the results. Come on. There's a growing push in the media to sell Paige as the right version of Caitlin Clark, whatever that even means.
366,000. A new record for a female athlete. Caitlin is the needle. Smashed the old record held by Serena by $100,000.
Who's going to be the next face of the NBA? We don't get to decide that. The marketplace decides that. The people have chosen Caitlin Clark. They enjoy watching her play, her style, her energy, her shot. Whether it's because her game mirrors one of the greatest players in the NBA in Steph Curry or not, I don't know what it is. It's an intangible thing, right? Yes, we can say she's a dog. Okay, there's been other dogs. Okay, she's a great shooter. There's been other great shooters. She has it. She's got the thing.
And for Caitlin Clark to have the awareness to drive the eyeballs there, you have to give her so much.
They're trying to frame her as the polished, media-friendly, socially approved alternative to the woman who actually revolutionized the game. But let's be real. Paige hasn't even come close to earning that crown. She hasn't shattered records. She hasn't packed arenas. She hasn't moved the culture the way Caitlin has. Caitlin Clark didn't just change women's basketball. She flipped the entire landscape on its head, and no amount of spin is going to replace that. Paige Bueckers has never consistently been the best player on her own roster. Her loudest moments haven't come from buzzer beaters or career-defining performances, but from carefully curated sound bites and symbolic gestures. Meanwhile, her game on the court has been much quieter, yet the media eats it up. Why? Because it fits the narrative they want to promote. It's a convenient counter to the disruptor they didn't ask for, Caitlin Clark.
She is not only the needle mover, she is the needle, but at this point, it's pretty clear Caitlin Clark is driving the bus and driving this.
What we're watching unfold is the definition of a manufactured rivalry. This isn't something that grew naturally through competition or fan debates. No, it's been sculpted in editorial rooms, podcast studios, and media hot takes. The establishment, the same media outlets that were completely sidelined as Caitlin Clark, took the spotlight on her own terms, are desperate to rewrite the story. They didn't discover Clark. They didn't mold her. They didn't give her permission to dominate. And that's exactly why she makes them so uncomfortable. Now, instead of embracing what Clark has built, they're trying to balance the scales by overhyping Paige Bueckers. But even that effort is starting to fall flat. Fans can see through. Real hoopheads know the truth. Dominance can't be faked, and greatness doesn't need a PR team to announce it. Let's talk about the excuses, because they're coming, and they're coming fast.
Caitlin Clark has taken women's college basketball by storm. It's because she's white, and all of her fans are white, and they're all racist.
I'm looking forward to seeing Caitlin Clark play, that are mad she's on national TV. They're going to brutalize her.
You'll hear pundits claim that Paige Bueckers had the better career on paper, conveniently skipping over the fact that she spent much of her college tenure watching from the bench due to injury, while Caitlin Clark was out rewriting the record books. They'll toss around efficiency stats, arguing that Paige is more polished, but they always avoid mentioning the raw, overwhelming output Clark delivered. The points, the assists, the influence. And let's not ignore the context. While Caitlin has been targeted on the court, frozen out by teammates, elbowed in the face, and publicly questioned by veterans, Paige has never faced even a fraction of that hostility. She plays it safe, both socially and on the court. And that's exactly why she's media approved. But here's the truth they don't want to admit. Safe doesn't sell. No amount of curated interviews or polished PR moments can manufacture the real electricity that Clark brings every single time she steps onto the floor. No amount of speeches, social media campaigns, or friendly media coverage can artificially create the kind of magnetic impact Caitlin Clark brings. Greatness can't be manufactured in a press release. The media's attempt to prop up Paige Bueckers as Clark's equal, or worse, her replacement, has only made the gap between them even more glaring. Numbers don't lie. Presence doesn't lie. Fans can see it, they can feel it, and it's not even close. Just look at the raw data. When Caitlin Clark declared for the WNBA draft in 2024, she didn't just show up. She turned it into a national event. Over 2.5 million people tuned in, with viewership peaking at more than 3 million. It wasn't just a draft, it was a cultural moment. It was history. It was the beginning of a new era. Now flash forward to 2025, when Paige Bueckers entered the draft. Despite weeks of relentless media hype, viewership plummeted. Just over 1.2 million tuned in. That's not a slight dip, that's a cliff dive. And no matter how hard ESPN tried to spin it, the audience understood exactly what they were witnessing. A draft without Caitlin Clark simply doesn't hit the same. When Caitlin Clark is on the schedule, arenas fill to the brim. Tickets resell for hundreds, sometimes even thousands. The Indiana Fever saw a nearly 90% bump in road attendance and a 265% increase in home attendance compared to the previous year. Clark didn't just boost interest, she created demand. A once sleepy WNBA schedule suddenly became the hottest ticket in town. Her presence moved people, physically and emotionally, drawing fans from every demographic imaginable. Now, compare that to Paige Bueckers. The crowds aren't rushing to see her play, her games aren't leading broadcasts, and ticket prices aren't spiking. Paige's arrival didn't shift the league, it barely nudged it. That's the difference. You can't force fans to care with media pressure or curated narratives. They care when they're inspired, when a player ignites something in them. And right now, the inspiration has one name: Caitlin Clark.
They like Caitlin Clark because she's not a victim, because she doesn't seem to be angry. And so they find her relatable. She's not playing with anger. She's not playing with a sense of entitlement. And yes, people find that relatable. She shoots logo threes, passes the ball like Magic Johnson, scores a lot of points, leads the league in assists. She's a great, great player, and she plays and shoots and releases the ball like Steph Curry. So there's the attraction to the exciting style of play.
Now let's talk about social media and branding. Caitlin Clark dominates every platform: TikTok, Instagram, X, YouTube. Her clips rack up millions of views. Her crossover highlights, no-look dimes, and logo threes trend weekly. She's a walking viral moment, making waves and creating stories that stay on people's minds. Naturally, brands took notice. Gatorade, Nike, State Farm all lined up. NIL records shattered. Caitlin Clark is the face of the moment, a marketing juggernaut with influence beyond the basketball court. But Paige? Not so much. Her social media presence doesn't generate the same buzz, and her endorsements are far from the level Caitlin has commanded. Sure, she's got deals, but they don't carry the same weight. The difference in engagement is obvious. Fans don't just follow Caitlin Clark, they connect with her. They buy into her journey, her struggle, and her undeniable talent. That's why her presence on social media doesn't just sell a brand, it sells a movement. What we're seeing now isn't just a difference in performance or visibility. It's a cultural divide. Caitlin Clark isn't just playing basketball. She's redefining what it means to be a female athlete in the spotlight. She's earned her place at the top, and her reach extends far beyond the court. Paige Bueckers may have potential, but potential doesn't sell tickets. Potential doesn't fill arenas or spark social media firestorms. Caitlin Clark has proven time and again that she's not just a player, she's a phenomenon. And the gap between her and Paige isn't just in the numbers, it's in the way people feel when they watch her play. Caitlin Clark isn't just a basketball player, she's a cultural force. Paige Bueckers sure has a few sponsorships, but nothing remotely close to what Clark has. And it's not personal, it's business. Companies invest where the attention is, and right now, Caitlin Clark is a walking headline. She has become a brand unto herself. Then, let's talk numbers, the kind that can't be spun. Caitlin Clark isn't just in the record books, she's rewriting them. The NCAA's all-time leading scorer, multiple 40-point triple-doubles, leading the nation in both points and assists. The first player to combine sheer volume with leadership and consistency at every level of the game. Paige Bueckers, while undeniably skilled, remains a player built on potential, not proof. And in professional sports, potential doesn't get contracts signed. Proof does. Let's also address the injury argument, and yes, it's valid. Health can affect any career, and no one should take that lightly. But availability is a cornerstone of greatness. Caitlin Clark has shown up, night after night, year after year, and delivered performances that changed the sport. Paige, through no fault of her own, hasn't had that same consistent presence, and that absence is felt. So, let's stop pretending. The scoreboard, the broadcast booths, the arenas, and the fan base all speak the truth. Paige Bueckers' team doesn't want to admit it, but Caitlin Clark is the standard. Paige may have promise, but right now she's not in the same tier. She can't match the buzz. She can't match the energy. And as long as that's the case, the gap between them is only going to widen. No amount of PR campaigns can change the facts. Caitlin Clark didn't need ESPN to build her. She didn't rely on culture wars or speeches. She let her game speak for itself, and the world stopped to listen. While Clark packed arenas and made history, Paige Bueckers is still struggling to break free from Clark's shadow, hoping hashtags and hot takes will elevate her profile. But here's the truth. Fans don't follow slogans. They follow greatness. So if you're still pushing the Paige Bueckers fairy tale, it's time to close the book. This rivalry doesn't exist, and the comparison was never real. Caitlin Clark isn't just ahead, she's miles ahead. While the media scrambles to catch up, history is already carving her name in the record books, one logo 3 at a time. If you're riding with Caitlin, if you're tired of the spin, and if you know exactly who changed the game, drop a CC in the comments. Let's be honest, there's only one face of women's basketball right now, and her name is Caitlin Clark. Like, subscribe, and turn on all notifications so you never miss out. Click the video on the screen, and we'll see you in the next one.